There's this thing that happens when a guy does something so simple, so subtle, that it shouldn't matter at all, but somehow it makes every woman in the room do a double take. I'm talking about those tiny gestures that flip some invisible switch in our brains and suddenly we're thinking about this person in a completely different way. Here's what's wild about this. Most guys have no idea they're doing it. They think attraction is all about grand gestures, expensive gifts, or having the perfect pickup line. But the truth is, the most magnetic men I know aren't the ones shouting the loudest or trying the hardest. They're the ones who understand that real attraction happens in the quiet moments, in the details that most people miss. I've been observing this phenomenon for years, talking to friends, paying attention to what actually makes women light up versus what we think should work. And I've noticed 7 specific gestures that consistently create this reaction. So whether you're trying to understand what makes certain guys naturally magnetic, or you want to develop these qualities yourself, here are the 7 subtle gestures that women find irresistibly attractive. Number 1. The protective palm. Picture the scene. You're walking through a crowded restaurant, and instead of just walking ahead, he places his hand gently on the small of your back, guiding you through the maze of tables. Not possessive, not controlling, just protective. Or you're about to walk into traffic while talking, and without saying a word, his hand appears on your arm, gently stopping you. This is what I call the protective palm, and it's probably the most universally attractive gesture on this list. Here's why it works so well. It demonstrates awareness. He's paying attention to his surroundings and to you. It shows protective instinct without being overbearing. And most importantly, it's a physical gesture that feels caring rather than demanding. The psychology behind this is fascinating. Women are hardwired to notice signs of protection and security, not because we're helpless, but because protection signals investment. When a man naturally steps into that protective role, it triggers an ancient part of our brain that says this person cares about my well-being. But here's the crucial part. The gesture has to be natural and situational. If you're forcing it or doing it constantly, it becomes weird and controlling. The magic happens when it's an instinctive response to a genuine moment where guidance or protection is actually helpful. One of my friends told me about a guy she went on a date with who did this perfectly. They were walking to his car after dinner, and as they approached a busy intersection, he naturally moved to the outside of the sidewalk, putting himself between her and the street. She said it was such a small thing, but it made her feel incredibly cared for. That's the protective palm in action. Number 2, the confidence lean. This one's all about body language, and it's so subtle that most people don't even notice it happening. It's when a man leans slightly forward during conversation, not invading personal space, but showing genuine interest in what's being said. Or when he's sitting across from you and he leans back slightly, completely relaxed and present, like he has all the time in the world to be right there with you. The confidence lean works because it demonstrates 2 things simultaneously. First, it shows he's comfortable in his own skin. He's not fidgeting, not constantly adjusting his position, not looking around the room. Second, it shows he's genuinely engaged with you and the conversation. Here's what makes this gesture so powerful. It's the physical manifestation of emotional presence. In a world where everyone's constantly distracted, where people are checking their phones mid-conversation, the simple act of leaning in and being fully present becomes incredibly magnetic. I remember watching this happen at a coffee shop once. There was this couple at the table next to me, and the guy was doing the confidence lean perfectly. Every time she spoke, he'd lean in just slightly, maintaining eye contact, nodding at the right moments. She was completely captivated. You could tell she felt like the most interesting person in the world. But here's the thing about the confidence lean. It can't be forced or exaggerated. If you're leaning too far forward, you're invading space. If you're too far back, you seem disinterested. The sweet spot is that natural position that says, I'm comfortable, I'm present, and I'm genuinely interested in what you have to say. The key is practicing being genuinely present in conversations. When you're truly engaged, your body language naturally adjusts to show that engagement. The lean becomes authentic rather than performed. Number 3, the decisive pause. This might be the most counterintuitive gesture on the list, but it's incredibly powerful. It's when a man takes a beat before responding to a question or making a decision. Not because he's uncertain, but because he's actually thinking about his response. He's comfortable with silence, comfortable with taking a moment to process. Most people are terrified of conversational pauses. They feel like they need to fill every silence with words, even if those words don't add value. But the decisive pause does the opposite. It shows confidence, thoughtfulness, and emotional regulation. Here's why women find this so attractive. It demonstrates that he's not reactive. He's not jumping to conclusions or saying the first thing that pops into his head. Instead, he's taking a moment to give a thoughtful response. This suggests emotional maturity and self-control, two incredibly attractive qualities. I had a friend who went on a date with a guy who mastered this perfectly. She asked him about his career goals, and instead of immediately launching into some rehearsed answer, he paused for a few seconds, looked thoughtful, and then gave a response that was clearly considered and authentic. She said it made her feel like he was taking her questions seriously, like her thoughts mattered enough for him to give a real answer. The decisive pause also works in decision-making situations. When choosing a restaurant, instead of immediately defaulting to, "I don't know, what do you want?" he takes a moment to consider options and makes a suggestion. It's not about being controlling, it's about being decisive and taking some responsibility for the experience. But timing is everything with this gesture. The pause needs to feel natural and thoughtful, not awkward or uncertain. It's the difference between "let me think about that" and I don't know. Practice being comfortable with a few seconds of silence before responding to questions. Number 4, the subtle flex. No, I'm not talking about showing off biceps or bragging about achievements. The subtle flex is about demonstrating confidence and capability in small, natural ways. It's rolling up sleeves before helping with something. It's the confident way he handles tools or fixes something that's broken. It's how he moves through physical space with purpose and coordination. This gesture taps into something primal in attraction psychology. Physical competence has always been attractive because it signals the ability to handle challenges and protect others. But the key word here is subtle. The most attractive version of this isn't showing off, it's simply being capable and confident in your physical presence. I watched this happen at a friend's house party. The host was struggling with a stuck jar lid, and this guy just quietly stepped over, took the jar, and opened it without making a big deal about it. Then he handed it back and continued his conversation like nothing happened. Half the women at the party noticed, but he wasn't trying to be noticed. That's the subtle flex. It also shows up in how a man carries himself while walking, how he shakes hands, how he handles physical objects. There's a difference between clumsy and graceful, between uncertain and confident. Women pick up on these physical cues because they suggest confidence in other areas of life. The mistake most guys make is thinking they need to announce their physical capabilities or show off their strength. But the subtle flex is exactly the opposite. It's about quiet confidence in your physical presence and natural confidence in handling practical situations. This isn't about being the strongest guy in the room. It's about being comfortable and capable in your own body. It's about moving with purpose, handling objects with confidence, and being someone others can rely on in practical situations. Number 5, the genuine laugh. This one might surprise you because it seems so simple, but the way a man laughs can be incredibly attractive. I'm talking about the genuine, unguarded laugh that comes from finding something truly funny. Not the polite chuckle or the forced laugh, but the real thing that lights up his whole face. Here's what makes the genuine laugh so powerful. It shows authenticity and emotional openness. It demonstrates that he's comfortable enough to let his guard down and experience genuine joy. It also shows he has a sense of humor and can find lightness in situations. Women are incredibly good at detecting fake laughter versus genuine laughter. The genuine version involves the whole face, especially the eyes. It's spontaneous and uncontrolled. It shows someone who's present in the moment and experiencing real emotion. I remember being at a comedy show with a group of friends, and there was this guy who had the most infectious laugh. Every time something genuinely funny happened, he would laugh with his whole body. It wasn't loud or attention-seeking, just completely authentic. By the end of the night, half the women in our group were talking about how attractive his laugh was. The genuine laugh also works because it creates positive emotions in others. Laughter is contagious, and when someone laughs authentically, it makes everyone around them feel good. It creates a positive association with that person. But here's the important part about the genuine laugh. You can't fake it. You can't practice it in the mirror or try to manufacture it. It has to come from actually finding things funny, from being present enough to experience genuine amusement. The attractiveness comes from the authenticity, not from the sound itself. Focus on developing your sense of humor and being present enough to actually experience joy and amusement. When you're genuinely engaged with life and with other people, the genuine laugh happens naturally. Number 6. The thoughtful question. This gesture is all about demonstrating genuine curiosity and interest in other people. It's asking a follow-up question that shows you are actually listening. It's remembering something someone mentioned weeks ago and asking about it. It's the kind of question that makes someone feel seen and understood. Most people ask surface-level questions and then wait for their turn to talk. But the thoughtful question is different. It shows that you're genuinely interested in understanding the person you're talking to. It demonstrates emotional intelligence and social awareness. Here's why this gesture is so attractive. It makes the other person feel valued and interesting. When someone asks a thoughtful question, it signals that they see you as worth understanding. It shows they're paying attention and that they care about your thoughts and experiences. I had a friend who was incredible at this. She would go to parties and within minutes, she'd have people opening up about their passions, their dreams, their interesting experiences. Her secret was asking thoughtful follow-up questions. Instead of just saying, "That's cool," when someone mentioned their job, she'd ask, "What's the most interesting project you've worked on recently?" or "What drew you to that field in the first place?" The thoughtful question works because it moves conversations beyond small talk into meaningful territory. It shows you're someone who's interested in depth, not just surface-level interaction. It demonstrates that you see people as complex individuals with interesting inner lives. But the key to the thoughtful question is genuine curiosity. You can't just use it as a technique. You have to actually be interested in other people's stories, experiences, and perspectives. When the curiosity is real, the questions become naturally thoughtful and engaging. Practice active listening and train yourself to be genuinely curious about other people. Notice when someone mentions something they care about and ask questions that help them share more about it. Number 7. The quiet sacrifice. This is the most subtle gesture on the list, and it's incredibly powerful. It's giving up the better seat without being asked. It's staying later to help clean up. It's taking care of small inconveniences so others don't have to deal with them. It's the kind of selfless behavior that happens quietly, without fanfare or expectation of recognition. The quiet sacrifice works because it demonstrates character. It shows someone who thinks about others, who's willing to put group needs above personal comfort. It signals generosity, thoughtfulness, and emotional maturity. Here's what makes this gesture so attractive. It's not performative. The person isn't doing it to be seen or praised. They're doing it because it's the right thing to do. This authenticity is incredibly magnetic because it suggests this is how they behave even when no one's watching. I remember being at a friend's dinner party where this guy quietly took care of all the little things. He refilled water glasses without being asked. He helped clear plates. He made sure everyone had what they needed. He wasn't making a show of it, just naturally taking care of the group. By the end of the evening, everyone was talking about how thoughtful and attractive he was. The quiet sacrifice also demonstrates abundance mindset. It shows someone who's secure enough to give without expecting anything in return. It suggests they have enough emotional and practical resources to share with others. But here's the crucial element of the quiet sacrifice. It has to be genuinely selfless. If you're doing it to be noticed or to gain something, people will sense the ulterior motive. The attractiveness comes from the authenticity of the gesture, not from the action itself. The quiet sacrifice is about developing genuine care for others and being willing to act on that care, even in small ways. It's about being someone who makes situations better for everyone, not just for yourself. But here's the plot twist that ties everything together. They're not techniques or tricks. They're expressions of deeper qualities like confidence, emotional intelligence, thoughtfulness, and authenticity. You can't fake these gestures and expect them to work. They have to come from genuine development of these underlying qualities. The most attractive men I know aren't trying to be attractive. They're focused on becoming better people, on developing their character and emotional intelligence. The gestures happen naturally as a result of who they are, not as a strategy to get attention. So, if you want to develop these qualities, focus on the underlying character traits. Work on being genuinely present in conversations. Practice being thoughtful and considerate. Develop your emotional intelligence and self-awareness. The gestures will follow naturally. And remember, the goal isn't to manipulate or trick anyone. It's to become the kind of person who naturally exhibits these attractive qualities. It's about personal growth and character development, not about gaining some advantage over others. These 7 gestures work because they signal the kind of qualities that make for good partners, good friends, and good people. They demonstrate emotional maturity, thoughtfulness, confidence, and genuine care for others. And those are qualities that will serve you well in all areas of life, not just in romantic situations. If you found these insights helpful and want to continue exploring the psychology of attraction and human behavior, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more such videos. Thanks for watching.